So let's not dilly dally anymore. Teo, what the heck is going on in Texas?
Oh, dude, I wish I knew what the heck is going on over there. I mean, Texas hating people only for existing based on the hatred forced upon people due to a silly book that was written over 2 millennia ago. I should be surprised, but sadly, I've seen so many crazy stuff going on in Texas that I am not surprised. And yep, obviously, it had to be the Republicans who are doing this, who have decided that their best strategy to, gain more votes and become more important and popular is going to be starting an all-out war against a group of people who just exist. So I don't know, guys. It's hard for me, but when I start talking about this, I immediately start having flashbacks, and it's not even like I haven't been talking even 2 minutes, and I already need to talk about the most famous Christian in the world, Adolf Hitler, most famous Christian in history. And yes, I know. Oh yeah, Theo is trying to, equiparate this with the Nazi movement because he's exaggerating. Actually, you know who is also doing the same thing? Neo Nazis. They are using this hatred against these people together with Proud Boys and Christian nationalists. And they decided to go and fight LGBT people going to events. Actually, we'll talk a little bit about that later and how they had to be protected by certain groups with guns and all of that. But uh, people who are talking in order to promote these laws these legislations that are trying to punish people for existing, they also, I'm not sure if they do it on purpose or what, but I'm going to quote a guy called Tucker Carlson who was covering some protest, and he opened saying another weekend in Weimar, Germany. If you don't understand that, people, this is a reference to extremist view that the quotation mark degeneracy of Weimar Germany, especially the LGBTQ community, was what made necessary quotation mark the rise of the Nazi Party to quotation mark restore traditional values. So, yep, that's something shocking, something terrible, and I want to know your opinion, guys. Blatant atheist, I'm sure you had something very, very interesting to say about this, right?
Uh, yeah, I mean, because we've seen this before. We've seen this so many times at this point. Like, it's not even surprising at all. This is the GOP playbook through and through. Like, when they fail to garner enough support because of their lack of actual legislation, I can't. I tried to say that word last time too, and it killed me. When they don't actually present anything for you to vote for them for, they have to present what they go for every single time. It's obstruction, hate, fear, all of these things that they just throw into a pot, and that's how they get their base out to vote. So I guess after we saw the red wave become a pink drizzle, this is what we get for that. And I mean, like the sad thing is, like they use the fear that they stoked, and they get that to their base, and that's what generates all of this fear. So they use this fear that they've already generated to generate more vote, and it's a sick cycle.
Mm.
It's as brilliant as it is evil.
Yeah. And one of the things that's so upsetting for me a lot of times with this stuff is how so clear it is, in my opinion, that the point of these is just hatred. Because if truly these individuals believed that there was some, massive problem of child abuse or something, they wouldn't purposefully pass laws that criminalize other people. And that's what they're doing. They're all of these different, there's like, I don't even remember how many, there are so freaking many that are put in this like pre-filing session for Texas. But it's not just Texas. My state of Tennessee is doing this exact same crap. It's just that Texas has more eyes on it. But yeah, it's so upsetting how time after time after time these bills are being introduced, and they have these grandiose, oh, we're trying to protect the kids, we want to follow the science, and then one paragraph later in the bill, it is just clearly obvious that they are hurting kids or pushing aside the medical understanding, you know, that we've actually got. And so it's just hate, in my opinion, and that is so freaking frustrating. But Cindy, what are your thoughts on this? We haven't heard from you yet.
I'm sick and tired to see my community attacked from all sides like this. What have we done to deserve so much hate? How pathetically weak you have to be to believe that you can only exist if you target someone weaker than you. What the fuck is wrong with all those people? We're just trying to live our lives and not bothering anyone, and all we get is hate constantly. Fuck Texas, fuck the US, this shithole country that can't even protect its own citizens. Fuck this shit. Nobody deserves this. The thing is, last week, 2 weeks ago, we had a mass shooting in a gay club, and we're going to talk about that in the last segment. But there is a targeted effort to use this community as a scapegoat, as you said, secular Rarity, to avoid talking about everything else. And this leads to more violence. We know that it happened, it will happen again, and I'm afraid that if these attacks against the LGBT community continues like this in the US, we will see more and more and more mass shootings like we've seen at Club Q.
Yeah, I guess. Well, this is one of those, things that I'm obsessed with, those harms of religion, that religion forces people to hate specific people in order to exist and gain power. And we will keep talking about this. And as you mentioned, Cindy, at the end, we have a special segment about this. But I have to mention how awful is that religions have so much power nowadays that they feel that they can do whatever they want. And apparently they can. Personal anecdote, last week I got invited by a friend to TikTok to talk some debates online. And once again, I had to mention that Hitler was a Christian, and she begged me, please don't ever do that again, because they are going to take my TikTok down, because you cannot say certain things in here, you cannot use coarse words. And I thought, okay, so is TikTok trying to be child-friendly, family-friendly, something like that? Then reading this, I find out that people, certain specific Christian, for example, I found about a Chaya Reinich, who said, the police should go into the venue, talking about this LGBT event, and go in there and put bullets in all their heads. That's what the badge is for. They are literally calling people or police force to murder people only for existing. And apparently that is totally okay with this such platform that gets offended if you say fuck or something like that. So it's awful, and it's terrible that the USA is becoming more and more backwards every day, and they are turning into a Christian version of Islamic countries, but with Christian fundamentalism. And it's sickening, and it's really, really sad.
Yeah. And I think, so folks, as always, anytime that I'm on, I always do really try to say to the viewers, please go out and read these articles. As much as we can break down a lot of this stuff in the time that we have, we don't always have enough time to get through it all. And one of these articles for this segment, lists out a handful of different bills that are being, put out there. So one of the ones that we're highlighting is classifying drag shows as sexually oriented businesses, which there's a lot of regulations on that. And I think in general, it probably makes sense that we have some regulations that a strip club isn't right next to a kindergarten, right? I think there's some reasonable things there, but the way that the law is written is in such a vague way that basically if there is a trans person out in public, period, you could be considered liable for some of these things. Another one of these bills that's being put into pre-filing in Texas is one that specifically classifies gender affirming care as child abuse, specifically classifies what is worldwide considered the proper medical treatment, considers that child abuse. So again, as always, please read these articles because you will get a very good understanding of the amount of bigotry and hatred and how hard they are pushing, which is the frustrating part for me, I think. Blatant, did you have any other thoughts on this?
I just want to point out the weird situation that we're in when we look at all of these Christian fundamentalists that are pushing this stuff. Because you look at any LGBTQ plus community event, anything, whether it's a drag event in Texas, a gay bar in Colorado, or just a hospital that performs gender affirming care, we always see the same groups involved in all this stuff. It's far right extremists, Proud Boys, or actual Nazis. And then the people leading the charge are the good old red-blooded American Christians. So I say that to say, if I showed up to a protest, I don't care if the protest was "We love puppies, puppies are the greatest thing." And if I go to that protest and I'm agreeing with this thing, and if I look to my right and I see Nazis, I look to my left and I see Proud Boys, I'm probably going to question what I'm doing at this protest. So at some point, Christians are going to have to look at the company they keep.
Yeah, totally agree. Cindy, any other thoughts?
Yeah, you mentioned something that I was going to bring up. They complain about sexualization of children, and then the same people brought us the child Miss Beauty pageants.
Oh,
I mean, talking about sexualizing kids, that's I mean, this is forbidden in France, for example. Those shows are forbidden here in France because
makes sense.
it harms kids. So it's complete hypocrisy. It's just it's just bullet points to fuel the fire, because nothing gets you more traction than angry people.
Yeah.
Nothing. Maybe disgusted people, but we'll see that later in the last segment.
True. Well, Teo, wrap us up on this and give us your final thoughts, and we'll go on to the next segment.
Yeah, really quickly. It's pretty ironic how they say, no, we want to protect children. So what do? They start attacking hospitals around the country that provide gender affirming care. They start making bomb threats. There is a guy called Greg Abbott, is a governor, who ordered the investigation of families who had trans minors, and he made those families run away from their state only because they were going to go to jail just for the crime of having a transgender child. So yeah, they say that they want to protect children, but they are attacking children, especially those who are discovering who they are. And yeah, as Secular said, please guys, read about the articles, read about all these new laws, HB 42, HB 672, HB 436, because it's awful how they are targeting people only for existing and discovering who they are. And it's really sad.
Yeah. And definitely, as long as there are people out there that are going to continue pushing this hatred and bigotry, I feel pretty damn confident that we're going to keep calling it out and trying to hold those people accountable.